where we are now in terms of how we work and play and live is evolving.
No industries last forever. There's always going to be change.
This is historic. This is the historic peak at this point.
I feel like office is where we were 15 years ago with retail. Retail didn't die, it evolved.
They're able to connect their data with the data that we have here at Moody's.
It's much more than just about a building or real estate.
This is far from being finished. The story has many chapters left.
There's no doubt that COVID-19 has changed the way that people think about the office and worker expectations. But I actually believe that there was a trend afoot even before COVID hit. And that really is that technology has disrupted the office and the way that people work. And that's a trend that we've been seeing for quite a while play out. And in many ways, the pandemic was the sort of forced behavioral shift that really allowed for many of these new behaviors and ways of work to become embedded. Let me dig into that a little bit more, because in many ways, I feel like office is where we were 15 years ago with retail. Retail didn't die, it evolved. And office is going through this really exciting evolution right now. One of the most sort of exciting evolutions and disruptions really in the last 30 to 40 years.
"24-hour city, 24-hour neighborhood might even be a better way to say it, combines office, retail, residential, tourism through hotels, public spaces, culture, essentially the best of our metropolitan areas, all within a smaller geographic footprint. And you really can see economic activity for nearly 24 hours a day. Now, what's interesting is even some of these smaller cities that had a traditional central business district, they're having to reinvent themselves to maintain vibrancy throughout all periods of that day, which leads towards more comfort, more excitement for those coming to the office, more amenities to take advantage of outside of simply the property that they're in.
The future of cities is really a shift towards a 24/7 city, an all-day city essentially, that's extremely walkable, and neighborhoods in particular that develop very organically. That's not to mean that the urban sprawl that many cities have developed over the years won't be relevant in the future. However, we have seen a good number of mixed-use properties being built where office space, retail space, apartments are all integrated in a very walkable area to really create a more holistic neighborhood.
In many ways, New York City is always at the tip of the spear. We pride ourselves on innovation and on experimentation and on the fact that we're always evolving as a city. New York City looks abroad, we look inside, we look anywhere there's a good idea. And what makes it unique about the way that we address these problems is that it's very focused, not just on policy, but on action. And the action piece is around really the public-private partnership and to make sure that we are being a catalyst for private investment.
It all goes back to the idea of mixed-use developments. Urban planners and developers need to think creatively and work innovatively in order to understand that the needs of the community are enmeshed with the needs of the city.
Hudson Yards is an excellent example of this approach. It's a very large-scale approach to this problem, which makes a lot of sense. You need to have all of those different facets of tourism and retail and even medical and residence and office coming together to create that level of foot traffic, this level of density that I think really a large amount of our population within the US now wants.
So when we started planning Hudson Yards a little over 10 years ago, we were looking already at a big, large-scale mixed-use complex, having a place that's not just a single office district. And if you look across the country, the parts of urban areas that are having the biggest challenges are those single-use districts that are 9 to 5. And our goal was to really extend those hours and to make it a 7-day-a-week place. So the fact that you can work out at an Equinox, there's all these restaurants, there's shops, amazing office spaces with views, 7 acres of parks, and you're right next to really buzzy neighborhoods like Chelsea and the art galleries and all the restaurants, meatpacking, the High Line, and then easily accessible Midtown. Those are ingredients that have made this really attractive to companies. I think the number one factor that they're looking for is being in a buzzing, dynamic environment, such as the one that we're literally in right now. I mean, you can kind of look out and see the energy of Hudson Yards. If I took you up into office space here, you see views of the harbor and views of Statue of Liberty and views of the river and skyline. And it almost starts with that, because when I come to work in the morning and you look out and you get that kind of skyline of New York, there's a lot worse places to be and get excited about. It's much more than just about a building or real estate.
In terms of the office market, there's been a flight to quality. Class A buildings, Class B plus buildings. There's also been a migration to different cities. But New York has long-term sustainability. Maybe I move to a different building or renew in my space, but I'll work with the landlord to create a different collaborative community space where people come to work and play and bring their clients in into new dynamic settings that they didn't have before. So it sort of like triggers people to think outside the box of what was and what could be.
These cycles are absolutely fundamental to the city, any city, to reinvent itself economically. No industries last forever. There's always going to be change. And the financial phenomenon of rental rates is probably a good indicator of that change.
I am probably more optimistic than a lot of people out there, just because I have the luxury of sort of looking out into the future. But office isn't really going away. I mean, we need offices to meet, to do all kinds of business. Yes, a lot of jobs can be done remotely, but hybrid is really the way to go. One really important thing to mention is that new inventory of office is going down. And so less supply, better prices. So I think I am positive on office. If you can find a good deal, maybe it'll pay off in about 2 or 3 years.